Hi, and welcome to This Week on 33rd Street, the 40th Street edition. I'm Mike Wisniewski, sports editor of the DP, and I'm joined today by Mike Toney and David Greenbaum. They were both at Saturday's opener in football, which Penn lost to Lafayette. First of all, let's start off with you, Mike. What were your first impressions? And even though they lost, what did Penn do right in that game?
Well, this is a team trying to figure out their identity right now. They're trying to figure out who they are as opposed to who they want to be. Coming into the season, Coach Bagnoli said, we really want to open it up on offense. We think we can throw it a lot more than we did last year. The things that Billy Ragone wasn't comfortable doing last year as a pocket passer, he is comfortable doing that now. We're not so sure of that after Saturday. They threw it 51 times. Billy threw for 5 interceptions. This is a team that, like last year's opener against Lafayette, they're still shaking off the rust, trying to figure out who they are as a team. Is this a passing team? It doesn't seem to be the wide open, explosive offense that they want. What they did do is they got some consistency in the second half. Both quarterbacks, Ragone and Andrew Holland, seemed to find their groove toward the end of the game. They really came back each turnover, even though they tripped at every step. They came back with significant scoring drives in the second half that have to give some hope going into Nova.
David, how about you? What do you say?
Yeah, I totally agree that they kind of need to establish their identity. In the past, they've been a run-first team. This year, they seemed like a pass-first team in the first game. And I think that they need to return to the running game. They've got 3 great senior running backs in Calavita, Jack, and Marsh. And I think that they need to pound the ball a little bit more. On the defensive side, they looked great. They held Lafayette to about half as many yards as they had themselves. And I think that the young defense was surprisingly strong. I think that they could come out next game and really put some pressure on Villanova. They have a good chance.
Yeah, and comparing this year's game to last year's game, they came a lot closer, and they did make a lot more mistakes. So going into this weekend's game against Villanova, Penn hasn't beaten them since 1911. What do they have to do to win this game?
Well, first of all, the 1911 stat is a bit unfair. They've only lost 11 straight games against Villanova, so it's not like they've lost 100 straight times. But I think that they really it's going to come down to the defense, and it starts up front with Brandon Copeland, the big defensive lineman. If he can put pressure on Villanova's young quarterback, John Robertson, and they really are going to need to hold Villanova to very few yards on the ground. Villanova's had 200 yards rushing in each of its first 3 games. And if Brandon Copeland can get up in front and make some big plays, I think that they can prevent the Villanova offense from going off.
Last year, Billy Ragone threw for 250 yards against the Wildcats. It was his first 200-yard passing game. And it was one of his most successful seasons last year. It was the shaking off the rust game. Again, this is a team trying to find their identity, assuming that Billy Ragone is still Al Bagnoli's guy. He always has been, and there's not enough evidence to go on at this point that they're going to dive into a consistent 2-quarterback system. It's going to be up to Billy again. He's got the weapons. This Villanova defense has been a little suspect in the first few games of the season. It's up to utilizing Marsh and Scott and sort of this kind of West Coast potential that you have in players like Marsh, who can catch passes out of the backfield, and Connor Scott. He's a very versatile receiver as far as going over the middle, being a possession-type receiver, being a downfield threat as well. If they can just take advantage, if they do their job on offense, this is a winnable game for them.
All right, that's it for this week on 33rd Street. Tune in to the live blog this Saturday at 3:30 when Penn takes on Villanova, and it's home opener at Franklin Field.